Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman has been a pleasant surprise by Democrat Party standards. He seems to have a bit of common sense, and he recently took a health spill that frightened a lot of his supporters. He had a heart issue, and he got lightheaded and fell, and he had a funny joke about all of that. He talked about his looks and how, if you thought my face was ugly before, you should look at it now. Well, I like that kind of jovial spirit from a senator, especially in these hard times that a lot of Americans are facing. And so Fetterman, he has been a controversial figure on the left, nonetheless, because they don't appreciate his even-handed approach or his sort of jovial spirit that he has. They lashed out and really wished him death and the worst after he fell because, well, that's what radical ideologues do. Those are the ones who have been taking over the Democratic Party and has caused it to have a dangerous lurch to the left towards socialism. So when Fetterman was brought on Katie Couric's show and confronted with so-called insinuations about Charlie Kirk's death, well, Fetterman had the perfect response. She should be ashamed of herself. And Fetterman, thank you for not taking the bait on that. Before we get into this story, please like, share, and comment on Explain America. We appreciate your support for us. And let's get into this story. So Fetterman obviously has been a lightning rod on the political left because he has at least a shred of common sense and human decency. And those things are very controversial with radical ideologues. And so when Katie Couric tried to get Fetterman in a gotcha question about Charlie Kirk and the meaning of his life and death, well, he had the perfect response. Let's watch.
Do you think that flags should have been flown at half-staff? Do you think his body should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think he should have posthumously be given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? I think some people felt that that was perhaps over the top in terms of mourning someone like Charlie Kirk. How did you feel about that?
I'd say that was his choice and his prerogative, and that was really entirely up to him.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though.
No, I haven't done a deep dive on it. We've all seen that terrible video. Perhaps if you've seen the actual video, I have. And it's like appalling. And that's part of the political violence. And from what I'm saying, it's like that's unacceptable. And engaging in a debate and views I strongly disagree on, that's part of the American democracy. And for me, it's that would never justify what's happened. And I just chose not to take the opportunity to argue his views after children lost his father in the most violent public way. I mean, so I would say the equivalent on the left might be, say, Mr. Piker. I strongly disagree with his views, but I'm appalled if something like that happened to him. Oh my God. I mean, that's, we have to disagree in better ways where, you're going to solve it by shooting people. And that's why the kinds of rhetoric, we have to turn the temperature down. Extreme rhetoric makes it easier for extreme reactions or to justify them.
I think some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme. I think that's the conversation that happened. People condemned political violence, but they also felt a great deal of discomfort with his language, suggesting that these kinds of words lead to violence. I don't know. I'm just kind of sharing my observations as I saw the conversations unfold.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we agree that we probably didn't agree with much of what he said. And I think I'm sure we both agree that you shouldn't shoot people. and you shouldn't execute them in public. And that's, I think that's two things must be true. That free speech, I'm an absolute free speech guy, and you have the right to say these things, and you definitely also have the right not to get shot by sharing your views.
So, Couric, you could learn something from Fetterman here, because all of the misinformation that came out after Charlie Kirk's death was trying to paint him as a racist and a xenophobe. And these are simply falsehoods. They are not true when you look at his comments in context. And that is something that Fetterman, well, he admits that he hasn't done all of his homework on that, and he didn't want to get into the details of it. That shows a little bit of humility. And that is something that you could use, Couric, because quite honestly, the reason that you hate Charlie Kirk is because he was effective at getting college students to really look at both sides of arguments and to make up their own minds, and radicals absolutely hate that. So bravo, Fetterman, and wish you good luck on your health and Godspeed. So weigh in with your own thoughts. We always appreciate you watching at Explain America.